All right, we're going to start in about 15 seconds. Senator Lopez Francis will start with some remarks, and some of the other members will have remarks, and we'll look through questions. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. As you all saw on the floor, but first of all, Senator Melissa Lopez Francis, I'm state senator for Senate District 49 and the DFL minority leader, and I'm joined by many of my caucus members who agree with me that it's time that Minnesota talk about legalization of cannabis and actually pass cannabis legalization and adult regulated use of cannabis. Back in 2019, I authored a bill that would make Minnesota the 19th state in the nation to legalize cannabis. And since I first introduced it, and remind you all, this was introduced with a bipartisan support, the bill has received only one hearing in the Minnesota Senate and has passed the Minnesota House. Over the past 2 years, I've been requesting hearings from my members in the majority party multiple times, only to have them all rejected. And today, I tried to get the majority party to agree that the time is urgent to move this conversation about legalization of cannabis to the Senate floor. The House, again, has passed a bill to legalize cannabis. It went through 14 committees. It was passed last year, May, and Governor Walz has supported it and has said that if he has the bill on his table and his desk, he would sign it. 18 other states have also legalized cannabis. In that time, the bill has changed and has significantly improved. As you also remember, we went through the entire state talking about cannabis and getting feedback from people from rural Minnesota, suburban Minnesota, and the metro area, all with the same notion that the majority of Minnesotans support legalization. We all know that legalizing cannabis will have economic benefits, but just as importantly, we need to address the disparities in the criminal justice system around cannabis and the fact that cannabis, the prohibition has disproportionately impacted communities of color throughout our state. Minnesotans want to have this discussion about legalization, and they broadly support moving forward with legalization. And that's why the Senate DFL caucus pressed this motion today. And now I will turn it over to my colleagues, Senator Port, Senator Putnam, and Senator Dibble, and Senator Murphy, who will also talk about why it is important to pass this bill now. Thank you.
So I'm Senator Eric Putnam. I represent the Greater St. Cloud area in Senate District 14. And I think it's important that as a voice for Greater Minnesota, I make it perfectly clear that this is a concern for everyone throughout the entire state. This is not a concern for one portion of our population or another, or one region or another. It's something that all Minnesotans are talking about, and they're speaking about it unequivocally. They are saying, they are demanding that we catch up with these other states and that we legalize cannabis now. And it also impacts all kinds of different populations. Folks in law enforcement are themselves, many of them, asking us to legalize cannabis because it alleviates one of their responsibilities and makes their lives a little bit easier, especially when law enforcement is so stressed. But also realize that a lot of people who start using cannabis are seniors, people in their 60s, over 60, who see it as an alternative to opioids. So this is an issue for all of Minnesota, and it's about time that the Senate actually just talked about it. The people of Minnesota are talking about it, their senators should too.
Hi, I'm Senator Lindsay Port from District 56, Burnsville and Savage. A majority of Minnesotans support legalizing cannabis, and we owe it to those constituents, especially the communities who are most harmed by this prohibition, to have this conversation. Other states that have legalized cannabis have seen that law enforcement has been able to focus on other types of crime instead of policing these low-level drug offenses. Our current cannabis laws do more harm than good, specifically around those low-level cannabis offenses that have led to incredible racial disparities in our state. It's a disparity that we cannot ignore, as it deeply affects the community's abilities to get housing, to raise stable families, to pursue higher education, and even to have their vote heard. This is an equity issue. It is a vital conversation that we have to have, and it's time that the Minnesota Senate have that conversation.
Hi, I'm State Senator Scott Dibble, and for all the reasons that were so eloquently stated by my colleagues, the time has come for the Minnesota Senate to put this subject front and center for conversation and debate. It was already been said and noted that a majority of Minnesotans are in favor of recreational use and legalizing cannabis. there is no reason why this debate and this conversation should be quashed by the majority party in the way it has. And I'll just state for emphasis that there's a lot of misinformation and mythology that gets traded on this subject, as stated by Senator Ingebrigtsen. And those are used as rationale for quashing this conversation debate. We need to be able to have Senator Ingebrigtsen come forward with those statements so that they can be debunked and dealt with, and good policy can be developed and passed into law. Thank you.
And last, I'm Erin Murphy, and I represent a district in St. Paul. I'm also a registered nurse. We know that prohibition of cannabis has not ended the use of cannabis, and I believe that regulation through legalization will not only make cannabis safer, but it will provide benefits to the state of Minnesota. Minnesotans have been having this discussion about legalization, about expungement, about regulation for more than a decade. And they are ahead of the Minnesota Senate, and it is time that we take up the conversation and act on this. This is not an easy set of policies to pass. And I think as we think about this public policy and moving forward with legalization, we need to think about the safety of the public, and we need to think about equity as we build forward into a regulated, legalized product. That is the hard work in front of us, to make sure whatever we do is equitable in terms of its participation, equitable in terms of the economic benefits and gains, and equitable in terms of criminal justice and public safety. We can do those things, but only if we take up the issue in the Minnesota Senate, and right now, the Republicans are blocking that. Thank you.
All right, folks, we have time for some questions.
Is this a proposal that you would hope to bring up in omnibus bills, health and human services, or public safety over the next couple of days?
Thank you for the question. It is a very comprehensive bill. When I first took on the issue, it literally touched on every subject matter in the state legislature in terms of jurisdiction committees. As I mentioned earlier, 14 different committees in the House have gone through and looked at the proposal depending on their jurisdiction. So it's a very comprehensive bill. It is a standalone bill. It should have the attention of members and both bodies. We'd love it to pass, so we know that weirder things have happened at the end of session of when you put things together in order for them to pass. But I do think it merits a discussion on its own, and it has merits on its own to pass. We heard on the floor, too, with Senator Ingebrigtsen's comments about being a drug that is a dangerous drug. We have a medical cannabis program that has been very, very successful for patients, and we know that veterans are asking us to legalize because they can't get that benefit through the VA. So this is the only way that we can help our veterans, is to legalize cannabis. And I think having that broader conversation and really dissecting the bill, as it's been done already in the House with stakeholders, is the best way to do that. But I would definitely love to see this bill passed this end of session if possible.
Some bipartisan talk about the sort of decriminalizing part of this legislation. Has there been any discussion of at least pulling some parts out of it that could pass in a Republican-controlled Senate?
Well, the issue of just piecemealing it's really almost impossible, and we've tried. I've had work with senators like a dear colleague of mine, Senator Eaton, who was very, at first was very against legalization, but understood that it is actually a tool to help people with opioid addiction, that this is not a dangerous drug, but a gateway out of addiction. And it has never killed anybody, and it will never kill anybody unless it's laced, unregulated like it is now, and where people can get really hurt because they don't know what they're consuming. So responsible regulation, having access to people to vet the product, and making sure that people are safe and making their own decisions and having the guardrails, that's what we're for. And piecemealing it is simply inadequate, because you're always going to leave something unaddressed, and this is why we need this package. The bill actually has more than 4,000 sections, 4,700 and something. It's a very comprehensive bill, and it merits that attention, that detail.
Is there time at this point in the session, because it is such a large bill, to get anything done? Because you're talking about wanting hearings or discussion, but we are coming up to the end.
Sure. I mean, we came up to the end last year trying to push for flower in the medical program. So we've done that before. We made some headways when it comes to the medical program. There are just, this is more comprehensive. We think it's time for us to move forward, to make this not an election issue as the Republicans are trying to continue to make it, but an issue that we can come together and solve in a bipartisan nature as it was originally when it first hit the Senate floor with my bill with former Senator Scott Jensen. Times have changed.
What does it say to you that all these years you've been pushing this and in today's vote you had no Republican vote?
Well, it is an issue, again, there's an election looming. People are going to use this as an election issue, trying to recruit people because they're going to run on one issue. When we want to demonstrate that Democrats are on the right side of this issue. They want to see progress. We want to see a vote on it. We support it. And people are moving. And I know that there are people on the Republican side that do support movement on this. It's a matter of having that debate and having the facts in front of them.
Isn't this an election issue, though, for you as well? I mean, in terms of making the case that Democrats support this and want this to pass, and if you elect Democratic majorities, it would, in theory.
It is today. We have two major party statuses on the issue. We are on the record as Democrats supporting this, so it shouldn't be an issue on the ballot. It should be an issue that the legislature should tackle, and we want to make sure that people understand that we are willing to move in that direction and have a proposal, a very real, very well thought and vetted proposal over years, since 2019 when I first introduced one. The one we have now with House counterpart Representative Winkler is the author. That is indeed the best proposal we have to date, and we just want that to have a fair shot in this session and hopefully not have it to continue to be a partisan issue.
We have time for one more. All right, thank you.
Thank you.